Hey guys, Krooks here from AutomatedTrading. Let's break down the previous day high-low bot. So you can see on the chart that I've actually loaded up the strategy because it's probably easier to explain how the strategy works if you see it on the chart. This is probably the most straightforward bot we have here at AutomatedTrading, but that doesn't mean it's not one of the most successful. I guess sometimes the most simplest strategies end up being some of the most profitable ones. I really enjoy this strategy because it can only take a maximum of 2 trades a day. So you are definitely limiting your losses. You're also limiting your wins, but the idea of trading is to stay in the game long term. And the way you stay in the game long term is by limiting your losses and gradually growing accounts. Okay, but I'm getting a bit sidetracked here. If you want to find out some of the best, setups that we have, stick around to the end of the video and you'll see a lot of those setups. But let's talk about the strategy here. So let me just turn on our crosshair. You can see that there's a number of boxes on here. These boxes get drawn on the strategy depending on price action. Okay, so let's zoom in at our last few boxes here. Okay, so this day here, it broke low. Okay, so here price comes down here and broke low. Okay, and then what happens at the end of the day? Okay, after the 23 hours of trading, a high and a low is formed for that day. Okay, so on this particular day here, okay, this red day, or this, it's called deep pink, on this pink day, it broke low and it took a trade at the low of the previous day. Okay, it took a short trade and then it broke down there. It would only take another trade if this particular day broke the high. And you can see it's quite a range there, so that obviously didn't happen, right? Then what happens at the end of that day, that box is formed, and then the next day occurs, and then a trade, so a stop order is placed at the bottom or the top, depending on what happens with price action. And you can see here, it went up, price moved up here, it bounced off the bottom, it didn't pass it, came all the way up here and took a loss because it broke the top, had a bit of a pullback. Okay, in this next day, at the start of this next day, we have our low and our high, and when price breaks that low, it takes a trade and vice versa. So this is one of the most simplest strategies. It's just trading the high or the low, hence the name. The reason why it's really powerful is that as price moves around, the bot will control your orders. It'll place orders and remove them, so you don't have to watch them. It'll also obviously manage your whole trades. The key to this bot is having a balanced risk to reward ratio, or even tipping it in your favor. Okay, I often like for this particular bot to have a larger TP than a stop loss, because you could go 3 days and only have one trade, for example, and if it's quite a big loss, you want to make sure then you got to wait a few days to make back those losses. If you have a larger TP, you tend to make it back after that 1 day. So that is what I like to do. As long as you use the strategy analyzer and find the take profit and the stop loss values that give you that high win percent as well. There's no point having a super large TP and a small stop loss if you've got a really terrible win percentage, okay, because then you're just going to be, I guess, breaking even. Okay, so there's a few things you need to look at, and we'll break those down later. Okay, so let's take a look at the parameters for this bot. Keeping with the simplicity theme here, we have only 4 parameters that we need to really look at. Contracts, again, we've stated this a number of times, it's just the number of contracts you want to use at each particular trade. The key 2 values here are that take profit and stop loss. You really want to make sure that that's balanced, or even have that take profit in your favor. So a lot of my trades, I tend to have like a 1-to-3 ratio in that. What that means is I have, say for example, if I set a 20 stop loss, I would want to make sure that I have around a 60 or 50 or 60 TP, so that one trade can then make back a number of losses. Okay, so they are in tick values, and the last value you need to really look at is the close all trades by, and that is a time when you want no more trades to occur after that, positions to be closed, and you tend to do that towards the end of the day so that you don't carry any trades over into the close of day. Okay, so you must be wondering, how do we keep getting these great equity curves and be consistent at using bots long term? And the key is simply you have to keep analyzing. Okay, there are very few bots out there that you can just set up and just leave for months and years on end without looking at the conditions of the market. Okay, you need to check these quite regularly and modify. You don't have to change the full strategies, but you just need to change some of the parameters. Okay, and that's why I focus on sharing with you the parameters, okay, and giving you details about how to use those parameters. And you can see this is an equity curve of a bot that I have been trading for a number of months now, over a couple of years. And it is not the same parameters. I do change them because sometimes they go through drawdown periods, but this particular one was quite good, okay, for the last 6 months. Okay, you can see, so I've loaded it up for 6 months. How did I get this equity curve? Well, we're going to look at optimization. Okay, we're going to optimize this bot to find some great values that we can use for those 6 months. So let's start the journey. Okay, so I have the bot loaded up. I want to make sure that I choose optimization. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to look at what values to choose. Okay, so I've actually already saved my values. I'm going to load it up here. I've got a YouTube example here for NQ, so I'm going to load that up. You may be asking, how did you save that? Well, once you find these values that you'd like to use, you can save it as a template so that you don't have to keep updating those values every time you want to optimize. You can just, if you find a certain values you want to use, just save the template, go down to File, Save. And then when you want to run it again at the end of the week, at the end of a couple of weeks, end of the month, you've already had those values saved and you can just run it again. And the new data that you've collected through the trading is showing you some not so great results, maybe you're starting to get some red values, then you can start optimizing again and save a new value. And then maybe perhaps when you save it, put down what dates you're optimizing for. Okay, and that's just an inside tip to what I do quite regularly. Okay, so with this particular bot, I've spoken to you about having obviously a balanced ratio, but trying to tip the balance in your favor. And what I mean by that is, you can see here I'm using stop loss values of minimum 20 to 40. Okay, I am using NQ, so I've told you this in the past that I don't like to go anything under 20 for my stop loss because it can just get wicked out so easily with NQ. If I was running this for crude oil or gold or whatever, I would have different values. Okay, maybe 10 might suit those, but 20 is my go-to for NQ. I'm going to have a maximum of 40 ticks because I want to limit my losses for the day. Okay, 40 ticks is a manageable loss for me. Okay, it may not be for you, but it is for me. And I'm going to do one increment. Okay, so I've done my stop loss. For my take profit, I want to make sure I start at 30 and go all the way to 60. So I'm looking for a bracket that is higher than my stop loss. Okay, my one increments. I'm just going to run one contract and I'm always going to stop my bot around 430. Okay, there's no point taking a trade after that because it'll probably just go horizontal and you probably won't get a win out of that. So I'm just going to stop it at 430. You could stop it earlier if you wanted to. I'm going to test for 1 minute. You may be asking, why do I always test 1 minute? Okay, the smaller the time frame that you test, the more accurate your results will be. If I was to put 30 minutes in here, it would not be as accurate. Okay, it's by far not as accurate. You're better off using 1 minute, or even better yet, 30 seconds. Okay, that way you're going to see how the market moves in that time. It's going to give you more accurate results. I'm going to test the last 3 months because that's what I'm looking at. I'm going to include my commissions, which everything was already saved, and I'm going to hit run. All right, so we have some interesting results up here. So our performance is around 2.17 for our profit factor. Obviously, that is measuring the wins and losses, okay, and comparing them. I could scroll down and find other values. What am I looking for when I'm choosing the right one for me? Well, obviously, first thing I'm looking at is the drawdown. I don't want to have anything that's too high, and I'm pretty comfortable with $500 drawdown over 3 months. So over the 3 months, the maximum that it draws down in my account is that $436. And you can probably try to find where that may be. Maybe it's in this part here because it's a bit of a horizontal movement there. Okay. 114 trades in 3 months, pretty comfortable with that. Profit factor, I'm super excited that it's actually 2.17. Okay, normally I would aim for something around 1.5 to 1.7 for a set and forget bot. those anything around 1.5 to 1.7, including commissions here, is outstanding. Okay, look, you're not really doing anything. You're just putting the bot on the chart, and it's actually producing money for you. So the fact that if it's 1.5, 1.7 is amazing. If it's 2, 3, 4, a higher performing bot, it's obviously having a lot more factors involved, and it's a lot more trading, and you have to watch it a lot closer. Okay, these set and forget bots that take 1 or 2 trades a day, anything around doubling your money is fantastic. Okay, so the best one up here, it looks like a 21 stop loss and a 50 take profit. That's pretty manageable. Makes me about $7,000 for one contract in 3 months. So I could run that on 4 contracts and get close to $30,000, which is absolutely amazing. You can see here the win percentage is not great. Okay, however, I'm very comfortable with that win percentage because of the ratio between loss and win. Okay, if that was a 50-50 trade, so that was 21 and 21, and this profit, the winning percentage was even, well, then I wouldn't be making me any money. Okay, so there's a few things you want to make sure you look at. Okay, and if you like any of those, you can just right click and you can open it in a new strategy analyzer. And what that will do, it'll open down the bottom here and do a new tab. And I have the values here, which I can actually check. Okay, I can check my equity curve. I can check to see what time of the day are the trades taking. So maybe I can limit this. So before I was stopping my trades at 4:30 in the afternoon, because that doesn't, if I was to stop it any earlier, I could wipe out a couple of losses here, but I wouldn't want to stop it any earlier. That's not really going to make too much of a difference. Days of the week, do I have any more successful days? So look, a Tuesday is not a great day to run this bot. Maybe a Monday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday. So on those particular days, I just come in, disable the bot or enable the bot, and then you'll find out you're going to be a lot more successful. Okay, so that's a few tips on how to be even more successful with our bot. You can see here, quite happy with our net profits. All right, and we have our good equity curve. I could then, the final step I want to look at the trades. I do this every single time. So I want to look at the trades and I want to run it in playback to see if it marries up, see if I'm getting the same trades, just to tell me that Strategy Analyzer isn't telling me lies. Okay, I want it to tell me the truth. I want it to check these trades and to see if it does that. So we're going to go to the charts. We are going to load up days for the last couple of trades and we'll check one of these. Okay, here we go. So we have our trade here. We have our high and our low. There was a loss there, but our win outweighed our loss, which is really good. See, it broke out nicely at 18.827.50. So let's load up playback and we'll see if that trade is the same. Okay, so we're in playback. I have loaded up the data into playback. I'm using the 1 minute chart on NQ. I have the previous day high-low bot activated with our stop loss of 21 and our take profit of 50. You can see that there was that loss that we saw in our optimizer before. So let's press play and we will watch a bit of data here and see what goes on. And what we want to see is we would like to see, here we go, order has been submitted. And what we want to see is we want to see price come down, hit our order, take our win, and we'll see if the values match up. So I always load up my data into playback. I always test my trades just to see if my strategy analyzer is accurate. If it is, then I will put it onto a sim account and run it on a sim account for a few weeks to see if I'm happy with the results. And when I'm comfortable, that is when I'll put it on my real account. Okay, you can see price bouncing around and it goes through, target filled, and we get our exact same value, 18.827.25, our 50 tick fill. So you can see that win outweighed our loss, which I'm super comfortable with. And I run this across multiple charts with multiple instruments because it only takes one trade a day. So the chances are that it's going to get into too much drawdown is minimal. You just got to make sure that you manage your risk to reward ratio. And then it's an easy set and forget bot. If you have any questions, please do reach out to us in our Discord. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time.